So going from a rectangular coordinate to a polar coordinate. So the first thing that I'm actually going to recommend us do is draw this point, -1 root 3, just so I have an idea of where I'm supposed to end up, specifically what quadrant I'm going to be in. So -1 root 3. So if I went left 1, up 1.7, I'm going to be in quadrant 2. So in terms of making sure that my answer makes sense, I'm going to have to be careful here. And so we'll talk about that when we get there. So I'm going to use this box up here, which the 2 points for this is that x squared plus y squared equals r squared, and tangent of theta equals y over x. So if they give me a rectangular coordinate, they give me x and y, and they're asking me to find r and theta. So I'm going to find r because r squared equals x squared, which is -1 squared, plus y squared, which is root 3 squared. So -1 squared is 1, and root 3 squared is 3. So r squared equals 4, and r equals 2. So I'm halfway done, and I would argue the easier part's done. There's less thought behind finding r. Theta we're going to have to think about. So the first thing that I'm going to do is set up the fact that tangent of theta has to equal y over x, which is root 3 over -1. So the tangent of theta is a -root 3. So I can use my calculator. I just have to be careful. So first of all, what mode should I be in? It doesn't say. Let's be in degree mode because I can always, once I know what the degree is, I can always change it to radians if I need to. So tangent inverse of -root 3 is -60 degrees. Okay, so here's what this is going to tell me. I'm going to use this -60 degrees pretty much just as a reference to the fact that the angle is going to be a 60-degree reference. However, -60 degrees would be in the fourth quadrant, and clearly this point is in the second quadrant. So let's find a 60-degree reference in quadrant 2. So the angle that is a 60-degree reference in quadrant 2 would actually be 120 degrees. So if I took the tangent of 120 degrees, I would get this -root 3 as my answer. It just puts it in decimal points. So it's still correct. Your calculator is just only capable of giving you one answer. So I'm not going to use -60. I'm going to use that theta is 120 degrees. And so depending on if they, for some reason, I want to say that Pearson's going to ask you to put it in radians. So the answer is 2 comma, it could be 120 degrees. If it said to put it in radians, it would be 2 pi over 3. So 2 comma 2 pi over 3. So one thing that I will say, though, is that I'm almost certain they're going to say something about let theta be between 0 and 360, or between 0 and pi over 2, or 2 pi. So they definitely want a positive angle. So if it was a negative angle, I would want to find what it's coterminal to that's positive. So either one of these answers up here would work. So if you want to pause the video and try B, and then we can talk about it, we can do that. So I am going to start by graphing this point just to have an idea of where it is. So -2 comma 0. So I want to know what are the polar coordinates of that point. And it'll probably say let r be positive and let theta be between what I just talked about. So r squared is equal to -2 squared plus 0 squared. So r squared is equal to 4. R is equal to 2. So I'm halfway done. R is definitely 2. So then I want to set up that tangent of theta is equal to 0 over -2, or tangent of theta is equal to 0. So here's where you have to be careful, because if I take tangent inverse of 0, I get 0. And so what that would tell me is that theta is 0. Now let's think about that. The point 2 comma 0 in polar coordinates would mean that I go out to the right 2 units and I don't rotate anywhere. And clearly that's not the point. Clearly it has to be on the other side. So I'm definitely going out 2 units, but it's not true that I rotate 0 degrees. How many degrees do I have to rotate to get to that point? 180. So if I take the tangent of 180 degrees, I do get 0. Your calculator is, like I said, only capable of giving you one answer. So 0 is not the right answer. It's kind of a reference, but the only correct answer is 180 degrees because I need to go out 2 units to the right, and then I need to rotate 180 degrees. So I can write 2 comma 180 degrees, or if they ask me to write it in radians, I would do 2 comma pi. So whether they want degrees or radians. So the R is a little more straightforward. Theta, you have some thought behind it, so just be careful.